Hello, welcome back to Nosetools, where we have been constructing things on the surface holding pigs, and are probably going to carry on doing so until the rhinoceroses come back. Oh yes, I remember what our plan was now. I should update the title of the stream. Our plan was to build museums, wasn't it, and a library. Right.
There was a fire in the substation in front, and there was no major damage to the cottage. Because there was no substational damage to the cottage.
Probably don't need a bunch of worn out gloves. Let's dispose of them in order to reduce the number of objects that the poor game is tracking. Worn out boots should probably be melted. Worn out copper boots. Not quite sure at the point at which people stop thinking things are sensible to wear.
If a wooden boot is a clog, is a metal boot a clog?
Maybe.
If a metal boot hits a wooden tree in the forest and no one's wearing it because it's not like the code.
I mean, like, at least we're not going to be short of clothes. But I mean, I'm going to melt. Yeah, but we like there is lots and lots and lots of stuff around because lots of dead merchants, lots of dead visitors. I mean, I'm wondering if we want a stockpile for clothes and armour just so that we get them inside the fortress a bit. We certainly want a library because there's all these books out here. Probably some kind of musical instrument. The game generates a set of procedurally generated musical instruments for every world, I think.
Wow.
So
That's above the Call of Duty. blow pipe in the wind chest. Yes.
Mid-size handheld wooden wind instrument.
Thoughts and sort of the pipes. I think with those numbers right now, they actually focus on
So yes, there are an awful lot of random musical instruments around. Here's a monal, which is a mid-size handheld wind instrument.
Conical pipes made of stone. Goes into the what?
The fibble at the end of each pipe.
Did they make that word up too?
I think that's a real thing.
It's a musical thing.
Here we have a cedar Mega, mid-size handheld wind instrument consisting of conical wooden pipes.
They like their wind instruments, don't they?
Yes.
Have they not discovered strings?
Oh, there are probably some strings somewhere. Note that this one has been used to kill 2 cats.
Well, the string instrument would just sound like it.
See, because we get a lot of bards visiting, but many of them don't come off very well when they meet up with a... here's a stringed instrument, when they meet up with the rhinoceroses. So there we go. I think I've run into at least one handheld pipe organ type object as well. Another thing with cylindrical wooden pipes with flared bells fitted with free reeds. Melt that down. Anything seriously worn out may as well be melted down. I'm not sure about things that are merely slightly worn. Right, so I actually haven't looked up libraries and how they work, so I should... yeah. Well, we're going to want some bookcases, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I've already built at least one display cabinet. Actually, I should just go thing, properties, and just go, right, reclaim everything on the surface. Anything that's out here is temporarily fair game and should be grabbed and taken indoors. And if I have marked it for dumping, it should then be destroyed. Or melting, if it's marked for melting, it should then be melted. It's all very simple. Right. Yes, well, we're trying to sort out some better places, to be fair. So that's all food stores and a couple of, yeah, we should probably, let's, well, we can make it up here attached to the temple. Yes. It's presumably some kind of an artifact. It's possible that someone has come in from outside and stolen it. I don't quite know what's going on because they keep, those things seem to keep turning up again.
I suppose if it's a legendary artifact, it might be run for.
Yes.
Disorganisation. The organisation is still just film them back or something and do a few part cracking away and they'll find it.
Feels kind of safer to put the library and museum on the limestone level, but actually we have an entire direction we've not even gone in from the staircase on this level, haven't we? Right. This will be the new library and museum quarter. Meanwhile, we're still filling up this square here with water so that we can pour some magma into it. Let's just check if we've got any magma up here or if we need to pump some more magma. We have some magma available, though we might want to start pumping more of it anyway at about this point, since we do have a minecart waiting to be filled. I assume it's not full already. Oh, also, I assume that door's locked. Yes. And that is not yet a full minecart.
I can't quite decide whether my mind's eye would rather imagine them as a set of parallel pipes or as some kind of giant tootling hedgehog.
Right. Oh dear. We're still suffering from everything is rotting problems over here. Not quite sure. Hmm? Yes. I think someone is trying to bury another bit of butchered animal, but maybe not. No, okay. It's hard to tell whether that's what they're doing. Oh no, I think they are actually throwing things into the rubbish pit. Good. That certainly is one way you can organise things. I have been known to do that. But like hurling them into magma, make sure they're reasonably properly destroyed so that you're less likely to get so that the game won't slow down quite so much. How are we doing for water? 3/7, that's probably enough. Let's find out if that's enough. So that needs to have that stop removed and a new stop added there. And then wants a vehicle assigned, which should be... What does that X mean, I wonder? Is that one? That one's full, so it's probably that one. That should then get us another square in our ongoing bid to line our zombie pit with obsidian. So if I now ask to install a display case in here, where should we put it? I feel it should go in the corner. Oh, I've got an obsidian pedestal as well. Well, maybe that should go in the middle of the room. Not sure what we'll put on an obsidian pedestal, but
I think I wish it hadn't.
right, well, if we get cancelled fill ponds, that probably means we've just cast another lump of obsidian. If we're really lucky, no one is on fire as a result. Looks like no one's on fire. Excellent. We have a perfectly ordinary desert tortoise. Yes. We have so much stuff on us lying around up here. Well, that's nice. I hope it wasn't a mandate I was meant to be paying attention to. I presume someone is now desperately trying to find this obsidian pedestal that it has been asserted exists somewhere in the fortress. Is set to fire at will, yes. Why is no one firing it? Do I need to assign yet more people too? Oh no, there's someone. Because someone is hauling the rock up to fire it again. Excellent, that's fine.
So you've got a mediocre caliber operator. You've also got 5 legendary rock holders.
I suspect this is increasing the strength of this poor elf, yes. If you want to acquire things, just go out on the surface and grab something. Really. No. They wandered off. They occasionally do. So I've enthusiastically installed more cage traps and such like. Oh yes, I should turn off that pond, shouldn't I? Because it won't work at the moment. And generally dismantle all of this stuff. Check that worked. that minecart is unforbidden, isn't it? Yes. And that minecart is forbidden, yes. Right, we now have that pedestal installed. Let's just stick a door in on what will eventually be our library. Okay, let's make it this rather fancy looking door for no very good reason. So now I at least declare this to be a museum. Right. Don't know if that's helpful, but I feel that the codexes, etc., should be stored somewhere else. So yes, we are a bit short of our artifacts. I think they may many of them have wandered off a bit. Still, maybe we should stick the toys in here before they get lost as well. Well, that one's actually being played with. If someone's playing with an artifact toy, right, so mostly I need to make a phenomenal number of bookcases, or at least work out what. What? But that's... I thought pedestal was for displaying furniture. But this seems... the artefacts appear to be precisely the same set of artefacts that we were able to put in the display case. Oh well. Leave that like that for now. And build some bookcases. Can I make bookcases out of stone, or do they have to be wood? Oh, I can make rock bookcases. Excellent. Yes, but I have to make the obsidian first. It would be a bit of a faff. I mean, I have uses for the obsidian I'm making. Oh, of course, I need to remove paved floor under there first. So that wall should almost certainly get built from the correct side. I use too many things that are actually libraries. Which means that my browser autocomplete didn't actually consider the Dwarf Fortress page on libraries to be a... So, libraries are done by setting up a meeting zone and then a meeting area and then assigning it to a location, and presumably the location is a library. Yes, a location is either a library, temple, tavern or guild hall. Right. So, what's rotting in your bedroom? Don't leave things to rot in your bedroom. Possibly. Given the mini forge lying around, possibly less than teenager. Well, kind of. Can't actually find anything rotting there. Oh well. What? Sorry, that's an oh right, there's the occupant. It's custodied after retching on a miasma. Yes, that's nice. Felt enjoyment after playing with a toy hammer, though. He's only 6. Oh, right, rotten prepared pig brain roast and a swarm of flies. Right, someone will be along to dispose of your rotten pig brain roast. In due course. That was the wrong button. Despite our attempts at preparing food at a reasonable pace, things are still rotting before we can convert them into dinner. Oh yes, I did have a possibly rather not quite sure what the phrase I want is, inappropriate use for a pig, given we have so many pigs, which is to check whether our ballista is actually as lethal as people say they are, by tying up a pig in front of the ballista and then seeing what happens. Oh, there's a ghost. We should deal with the ghost. Is that just because I haven't actually installed that last slab I built? Looks like it might be, yes. If we put a rope down there. So, should thus be able to set up here a meeting area assigned to new location library. So that now means we have this patch here, which is the library by the name of the House of Creations.
Well, actually, a sensible name for a library. What's going on? I mean, not as good as the Booktorium, but it's trying.
I mean, I like the fact that our inn is called Creative Pumpkin. That's quite a good name. But,
What were the other ones?
the guild, we have a variety of guild halls.
Those mostly guild ones.
We don't actually have a doctor's guild, but it was suggested that might be a good idea to make the hospital into a doctor's guild hall, so that the doctors will tend to gather there and will learn from one another while they're not actually treating patients.
So nobody can go in there at the moment because only members can visit.
If the guild is established, the guild has not been established,
So
and
if we have
therefore,
a guild, anyone can go,
I think so. So we now have a new library. So it looks like it probably could do with some tables and chairs and bookcases, as you know most libraries should. All right, we've dealt with one of our ghosts. Good. So let us install a bookcase and see what happens. You have mandated the construction of bucklers, have you? Right, well... Okay. No, I wasn't the button I wanted. If you want to. If you feel that your crossbow bolts need encrusting with calcite. Actually, I'm not sure we've got a leatherworks. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Very little. I don't think so. Right, well, it's not like we're short of shields and such like, so I'm just going to have us make some wooden bucklers to keep our Baroness quiet. Right, and we are now filling up this square with water. Oh look, people are hanging out in the library. I wonder if they're doing anything interesting in the library. No. Okay, we need some chairs and tables, do we? I mean, my hope is that people will start storing things in this library. But maybe I actually need to say. I mean, the bookcase merely seems to exist. So. We have a huge number of store item in location jobs scheduled, which yes appear to be about storing books. So yes, I think our books may actually be now in danger of being stored in an actual library.
unless they're in electric, in which case they're a really different sort from what you use.
Yep, here come people bringing books to put on the bookcases. And then they're reading the books. Because now that we have a library, people can read books.
There is a slight danger if you would set up an empty bookshelf and say, this is the library, bring stuff. But people bring books they don't want. And then you have a book library entirely full of crap books.
Well, yes. You met the Cuspas library. No, hang on, it's not quite that bad.
I must admit, I resemble that remark. I have donated books to the Cuspas library, and guess what?
So that's now installed. Let us tether a pig to this, since we have a vast surplus of pigs. Well, I mean, frankly, we're probably going to have difficulty converting them into dinner because the kitchen's rather busy, but we might be able to do it.
Or you're just trying to make sure that...
But I want to check that if we point our I mean, I'm curious as to whether these wooden ballista arrows are of any use at all other than for practicing. But it seems like it might be worth a try, and then we should probably start making some actually useful ones. Right, that seems like enough water to me. That seems like an iron minecart, probably full of magma. I should check, but no, that's an empty iron minecart. Well, that's not very helpful, is it? Leave it there for now. We've probably got a minecart slightly more full of magma down here, unless someone's been a stoat. So that's a forbidden steel minecart. So now we should lock that door and start that pump, and make sure that minecart's forbidden as well. So now the House of Creations already has 22 books. Of course, we haven't got anything we can write on, I suspect. We probably will also want a box or bag to...
I think you can make, baronet of pigskin, rolls, parchment out of pigskin, that's the one.
well, we'll see if we can work out what we can, but make it out of. You can certainly make it out of some kinds of skins.
Oh yeah, cow skin, goat skin, deer skin, all of those are perfect, and sheep skin. Those are all perfectly sensible things, but I've never heard of them being made out of pigs. Implicitly, manuscript studies.
I mean, I don't know how many bookcases a library needs, but
Always more.
Well, I mean,
if the UL is anything to go by, yes. Oh, there's a gap here. Let us stuff it with more bookcases.
you could start by the number of bookcases we have in this house, which is really quite a lot.
Well, go for it, cheap.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're still bookcases. Just if you're not storing books on them, doesn't render them useless as storage items.
You appear to have a walnut wood chest kicking around, so let's stick that.
Obviously,
Yeah.
not any of those, because you want a university chest.
Yes, well, our library will shortly have a wooden chest in it.
And of course, for a long time, that was the encouragement of the university's library. What with books being so expensive.
The phrase university chest makes me think of a sort of Cambridge-themed version of Monopoly. You have to work out how to run colleges into little groups there.
Conveniently, it looks like bookcases don't actually stop people standing in the same square as them.
Go to lectures. Go directly to lectures.
Oh,
Do not pass by.
right, we've got visiting scholars. A chemist has turned up.
Simply because you've suddenly got a library.
I think so. Because now, I mean, we don't even have a librarian. It feels to me like it should at least take until someone has made a catalogue of our library and sent that catalogue off to other people before
News travel amazingly fast.
someone turns up and goes, "Oh, you've got this book, haven't you?" Merely having the book should not.
I will point out
Be
that
particularly
it takes
helpful.
a very long time for anyone to bother with catalogues.
Oh, okay.
Also, I may be slightly including the longevity of structures in the Dwarf Fortress first, but it is possible that when you hear someone's open a library, you'd better go and visit quick, because it might not be there next week.
Or at least might be full of magma next week.
Or zombie rhinoceros, or really anything's possible.
Yeah, it's possible I'll need to expand the library to.
Surely you need a library.
Well, yes, that's what the title of the stream is this week.
Is it possible in Dwarf Fortress to build all of the Cluedo rooms?
Don't think so, but is that minecart full of magma? Yes, excellent. Right.
I was listening to somebody yesterday, it was an American place, and I put the date in month, day, read it on us. And I was tempted to leave it till the day, just one thing. I didn't. Well, I'm left away. That would be stupid fun. Oh.
Still see dwarves coming in carrying more books, which is good. Hoping someone will come and tip this magma into the pit in a moment. Someone just tried to bury some meat. Okay, no. Right, and that's another square of obsidian cast. Right, so now it gets slightly tricksy. So the idea, and it's a fairly silly idea because I think it may actually be unnecessary, so we seem to have a problem that if you try to hurl creatures that are capable of climbing, like dwarves, undead ones, into our pit, they have an unnerving habit of climbing back out again. And I think we can probably avoid this if the top Z level of the shaft into the pit is made out of something unclimbable. And smooth stone in general is unclimbable. But you can't just build a smooth stone wall because it will have gaps between the stones if you construct it out of blocks. So you need to cast solid stone in place and then smooth it in order to produce something sufficiently smooth. And the only stone you can actually create is obsidian, which involves mixing magma and water, which is kind of complicated. Right, so I think now I want to... actually, it may be quicker to dig this out, mightn't it? Extend that. Also involves removing that. And we probably can't actually do that immediately. So there's an enormous cloud of steam in there, as usual. Oh my goodness, we've got a zombie cave dragon. I mean, it's not our problem in that it's in the sealed off part of the caverns, but it also appears to be bleeding heavily, but since it's a zombie, that probably doesn't matter. At least not from its point of view. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we don't let the monster hunters into that level. Maybe we should. It might be amusing, but then we'd have to make sure the monsters didn't get out of that level. Right. There is now... Actually, let's just deal with that problem. There is now a pig in our firing range. So let's see what happens if we try to shoot it. No. Do I need to turn off the catapult? It doesn't look like it, but... I think it may just be that all of my I do need to train up more siege operators. Well, someone is scheduled to fire the ballista.
Scheduled to fire the ballista. You've got to hope you never get a lot faster paced war.
Yeah, siege engines are not fast. Right, one of our bards has been taken by a mood.
I misheard that as bards and thought that there was a bathtub that was in creative movement. Which was kind of confusing.
But that makes a lot of sense. Good ideas often turn up in the bath. The idea of the bath itself is a source of creativity, so you keep getting plausible.
Yes, I'm just worried if it starts to
When
mention
you had my lesson upstairs in the bath, just after I asked you something, I thought I don't have to do this. And I go after me, I thought of it. Am I going to get back and do a written it to me? And I go, oh.
You cannot get home for the rest of the morning. I haven't had time to fill it with Ben Robbie Giants.
Want leather, wood,
You sent me that whole thing recently.
Bars. rough gems. We've probably got some rough gems still. Bars, leather, silk. We've probably got some silk, rock, leather, wood. I think we may have reached the beginning of this conversation. Yeah, okay, that all looks good. Have fun. P.S. I've just spotted another ghost. King Logem. Right. Excellent. That's ready to be. Might be ready to be filled with water. Oh, we can't actually wall that one in, say, properly. We dig out that square just so that we can install that wall, or do we just go for flooding 2 squares? I think we'll just go for flooding 2 squares and see what happens. Oh, except we haven't even made a hole in the ceiling yet. D, H. Right. Anyway, about that ballista. Oh, someone is... I think that probably means that someone did fire the ballista. Oh, is that the arrow just having been fired? Have I managed to pause just as the arrow's been fired? Well then. Here comes the arrow. Whee! Right, so a wooden ballista arrow is not actually fatal to a pig. But it has quite blatantly passed through the pig. After the pig has got in plenty of fights earlier.
Going through both rear legs of the pig. In between going through the lower body and the upper body. What contorted...
Well, maybe the pig was standing sideways on. Kind of thing. Lower body, then left rear leg, then right rear leg, then upper body. I think the pig was lying down. Something.
I think this is some weird conspiracy theory, like JFK magic bullet.
So, like, it's clearly injured the pig, but that's not going to kill a zombie rhinoceros very quickly. So, yes, we definitely need some better... What?
Injuring a pig is unlikely to hurt a rhinoceros.
Yes, but in particular, something that merely immediately causes a pig to collapse, to pass out in pain pretty rapidly, but not much worse, is probably not going to be enough to kill a zombie rhinoceros in reasonable time. The zombie rhinoceros is not capable of thought, feeling, or anything like that. It is a zombie. It exists only to remove the life from other creatures. Doesn't even want brains in this world. Right, so fairly effective, but not nearly good enough. I mean, we'll carry on shooting at the pig, and well, yeah, it's probably safe to keep shooting at the pig. If the pig actually, there is a slight problem, of course. If any parts fall off the pig, then someone will go in and collect them. So I should pay attention to this. I'm fairly sure magma crabs give birth to magma crabs and not boys. Okay, someone else has decided to fire the ballista this time. I mean, this does probably also mean that a ballista is not actually going to... A ballista loaded with wooden bolts is probably also not going to kill a dwarf if they get in the way.
I think if the ballista managed to pass entirely through the pig and go on its way somewhere else, and the pig didn't die, that's more a positive statement about the multiple redundancy of the pig than any lack of power on the part of the ballista.
Well, I mean, did we actually... What were we told about it? We were merely told it struck them, tearing the fat and bruising the muscle. So it didn't actually get through, didn't actually penetrate very deeply into the pig, but somehow did manage to graze the pig on two limbs, the lower body and the upper body.
God, not penetrated deeply if it came out the other side.
Well, I don't know that it came out the other side. It kind of skimmed... It grazed the pig.
Oh, I see. It's sort of,
But apparently not deflecting very much because it carried on in the same direction.
but if it was going mostly horizontally, it could have just...
Yes, but somehow did manage to hit the pig 5 times in the process. So yeah, and we do now have a puddle of pig blood there. And a snail. So I think I should unsuspend the tasks to forge ballista arrowheads, so that we can start making things that might be effective.
Is silver good against the undead in this game?
Not particularly, no. It's just that we produce silver, whereas we don't produce
Silver's what you've got.
yeah, we don't produce steel or iron or copper or bronze. I mean, we basically the only elements that we mine are lead and silver. So we've got lots and lots of lead and a moderately large amount of silver. Anything else we have to import.
I was just wondering, what other elements have particular creatures been vulnerable to? Undead are traditionally vulnerable to silver. Fairies traditionally vulnerable to iron. And Cybermen to gold. What else? Is there anything you need Osmond to kill?
Fairies and ferrets are quite similar as well.
How much do we have of books in there now? 47 books in the library.
Well, there was some a force hammer that people films, and they used for the second. Obviously, it would have been the best heavy stuff to use one of that, and they used the second one because the war was really cost millions. And it was for 20,000 to make that thing, and they basically tried to get the giant first who played strongest men.
Our library is quite popular. I don't know. Anyone actually going to fire this thing again? Yes, apparently so. Yeah, this is going to be a slight awkwardness. Maybe I actually need to... well, I suppose, yeah, we can keep it in ready to fire mode for a bit. If our... if we're waiting for... Yeah, that's really not a big problem. Yes, we'll send someone to kill the wild naked mole dog that's lying around in the fortress. All being well, they won't kill anyone else on the way. So, have we got any writing materials yet? Not yet. We still have at least some store item in location jobs going, but that's another book. It looks like most of our books have now been brought to the library. Why has that not been put in there then? It seems to be a book. It's in a currently accessible room. Okay, how are we doing for water up here? I mean, it's going to take a little longer to fill because I haven't bothered sealing off that one corner, which should be safe. Okay, I think the pig just got shot again. Why are you charging up my poets?
Charging up your poets?
Charging at my poets.
Oh.
Everyone was busy fighting that naked mole dog. Actually was killed by a poet, not by any of my military whom I sent to deal with the problem. So, second ballista arrow hits the boar. Struck left front leg, left front hoof, left front and upper body this time. Again, tearing the fat but not getting any deeper than that. So yes.
The fundamental problem is if you're shooting a ballista at a small pig a very long way away, it's very hard to hit the heart.
Well, something like that. We'll try some silver arrows in a bit and see if that works any better. Because it looks like, in particular, this is generally key. The arrows are generally surviving. Here we have the arrow being collected by someone. There's an arrow that clearly didn't actually hit correctly, but that can be collected as well. So, like, we're doing fairly well. Another arrow. Well, it knocked the pig over again. But still fundamentally has lost a hoof. Just to be on the safe side, there was probably... Okay, no. There's allegedly lost a hoof, but I can't find that hoof lying around anywhere. may have missed entirely, but I'm not sure. Possibly because the pig was still lying down from the last attack. So yes, we're building that track stop now, good. Oh, I've got a chair to install in the library yet. What's going on with my attempts at building furniture for my library? Alright, we're currently actually building a chair. Let's also build a table.
And crushed furniture with London overgrown fabric.
I may have done that. Still a wooden one. We haven't made any actual silver bolts yet. Presumably somewhere deep in the caverns, yes. So yes, if this were a zombie rhinoceros, it would have gone straight through, killed the pig, the bait pig, and come back out again. And be slightly injured. Just check. Is the pig still alive? That looks... Alright, no, the pig is dead. Right, I'd better turn off the ballista then, because someone's coming to collect its corpse. And it would be embarrassing if they got shot. I mean, they won't get killed, but... Right, so, have we got a decent amount of water here now? Yes. That one? Yeah, that one seems to be full. Is it also nearby? Yes, it looks like it. Good. You're still pissed off. Yeah, I think something's gone wrong there. And the next one.
Yeah, the grammar was
Yes, I don't think that's how that's meant to come out.
the grammar had become haggard and
Well, I think the second one is kind of the creature's name, only it's not its name.
yeah.
Oh well, she may not live very much longer.
And then the mysterious grammar and her internal mental state won't be your problem.
Something like that. So you've got limestone, 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 leather, logs, silver bars, but you apparently want something else. Logs, silver bars, rough gems. Oh dear, are we actually... is our gem cutting industry so efficient that we haven't actually got any rough gems? I should adjust our gem cutting configuration so that at least some of the gems that we might cut are ones that we keep a stock of, and I should go in search of some gems. Few months. I mean, we didn't quite manage to go from we have no metal industry to having prospected far enough to find some galena, set up a smelter and smelted some metal. But given that we had no idea
That sort of project to satisfy strange moods is the sort of thing you only just finished.
yes, I mean we were pretty close on that one. So I'm fairly sure if I can find some visible gems that I just need to dig out, then this will not be a problem. If I actually have to do any prospecting, it might be slightly more of a problem. So there is some on this level where essentially all I'm limited by is not having any scaffolding to get me up to them. Because in general the floors on in these caverns don't come up to the level with the gems on. Let's just flick downwards through things. Indeed. Oh look, we've got some tanzanite in the mines. So if I just let's insist that we keep at least 10 or 9 tanzanite uncut for the future. And auto mine that tanzanite. That should deal with the problem. Based on what we saw on the level below, there's probably more useful things higher up that we could mine if we actually needed any more stuff. Hurrah! We have some scholars who are pondering. They can probably ponder better if we gave them something to sit on. Turn the catapult back on because people may as well be using it. Oh, and I never actually connected that room to the next door one. Let's do that as well. Right.
I'm going to be using more keys.
Right, we now have yet more obsidian in place. Indeed, we're almost at the point where I need to actually start being careful.
You don't slip.
So I think I want to, at least for now, just remove all of that so that we can see what's going on. So yes, we do have lots of lovely obsidian floors. Oh, we're going to want to remove that, so let's remove that floor while we're here. Right, some people are coming down here to do some mining. And the fact that this is a long way away won't be much of a problem, because once they've mined something out, which will happen now, our moody dwarf will set off. Yes. And will not go mad as long as there is actually something out there to go and collect. Right, this will leave us with plenty of tanzanites. Here comes our moody dwarf. Oh look, we found another seam of another vein of galena. Let's mark that for mining with low priority. While I'm here.
can do McDonald's.
Read a humble offering to the tree. Concerned there's a forest retreat to Deer Glimmer. Meanwhile, here is someone considering a precise description of buoyancy and water displacement. But I think we may still not have any, for instance. Have you got the other table yet? Yes, good. So, well, someone will be, should ban us from exporting now. Spears, right. Like, we've had an opportunity to export anything recently. Right, so now, in this gap here, we have basically a hole. So now can I build a down staircase there and an up staircase there? It looks like I can. Good. Right, I think someone has forged us a bunch of ballista arrowheads, so presumably now, can I now assemble silver ballista arrow? Repeat that until we run out of components to assemble it from. Hmm? Oh, if ballista can only be dwarfed by civilians who are easily scared, what use are they for combat? They are useful in that if you put them far enough away from the enemy, then the dwarves can't see the enemy. So you'll observe here that my ballista is up here, and the closest point the enemy can reach within sight of the ballista is here. And my hope, and we had our test pig tethered here, and the test pig did eventually get killed, though it did take rather a lot of arrows. But the ballista's range is phenomenal, and is further than dwarves can see. Or at least, further than dwarves are scared by seeing.
So they get hit by arrows that are rather surprised to them.
Well, more they fire arrows at things they don't know are there.
I was heading towards the ballista shock dart one, but I couldn't make it work therefore.
Well, I mean, a good thing about being in a roguelike world is that as long as your ballista arrow enters the correct square, it will probably hit the target. Yes, well, we'll see if it gets better with better arrows. Right, so that's that up staircase built. And now someone is apparently coming along to use it in order to build the downstairs above. Good. That's nice, because that helps me to believe that we can actually build this staircase from both ends. Right, so now I want to build a wall here. So that then, and make a hole here. Actually, that should be a higher priority. This is a higher priority than mining. Just wondering if people actually enjoy reading books. No apparent enjoyment here. Mostly happy to be drunk rather than to be reading. I mean, admittedly, okay, no, it does contains a manual entitled Mystery of Animal Societies. Right, so now we're going to want a new track stop. Should probably go there and dump west. And we're going to want to fairly carefully fill this area with water. I say fairly carefully because we want it to be safe to go down the stairs and clear things out, even though there'll be some water down there. It will require a bit of caution. And how is filling things with magma going anyway? That's an empty steel minecart, so we should lock that door and start that pump. While we're down here, forbid that minecart. And the other one, just as soon as it's been loaded. Forbid that minecart. Right. Excellent. Our moody dwarf has started creating something out of a fairly large quantity of stuff. Right. This probably at a level of 2 in each square, so that can wait a moment. No one has accidentally locked themselves in there. Good. Now, I presume you dry out the tower cap or the fungi before you turn them into like furniture and such like. Or possibly when they get that big, they're relatively dry anyway. Right. But these are the kinds of mushrooms that grow several metres tall, which probably requires that they have worked out linging and such like. Lignin, Claire thinks. You may well be right. Yes, you're right. Lignin. Thank you. Wikipedia does not immediately tell me that whether or not any fungi produce we've just found some dead things. No. I'm just slightly wondering why we've just suddenly found all of these things dead.
I'm going to declare myself to be not snooze, but interviewing, and therefore going to bed.
Good night. Yes, I was expecting her to slip into depression in due course, because all my attempts at cheering her up had failed. Right, so here comes a siege engineer to construct an arrow. Here comes the arrowhead. The dead creatures have now been placed in the place where we put dead creatures, so in time to either be butchered or to rise from the dead and get caught in a cage, whichever happens first. Right, no, want to get slightly more water in there. Here comes someone with slightly more water. Right, so now we have 2/7 in each square, which means it won't surprise... Oh no, we have 1/7 and 2/7. Right, wait longer. Bring me another bucket of water, please. Oh, is something rotting here already? Yes, apparently so. Oh, please dispose of it. There's still a scroll down here. Why is this scroll not being put into the library? Like, do we need more bookcases? Let me just have a quick look up of bookcase in the thing. Make sure I'm looking it up in the Dwarf Fortress wiki and not on Wikipedia. That will not help. Bookcase should be capable of between 200 and 500 codices. Or 500 scrolls or 1,000 quires, probably. So, yeah, we don't have a shortage of space in the library. The library is vastly oversupplied with bookcases for now.
Books do exponentially that makes sense.
Right, and someone is now hauling a silver ballista arrow to be placed in storage somewhere. Not quite sure where, because now I think that if you're carrying chopped dog liver to place in tomb, either we have developed the kind of religion where you have to provide the dead with food, or you've decided that this dog we've slaughtered deserves proper burial. Either of those is silly. Please throw it away. Two sevenths there, 2/7 there. Right. Let's turn off that pond zone so that we don't accidentally overfill it. We are going to have so many zombies here. That everything we put in this. Oh, something's escaped from the zombie traps. Still, we have an artifact mug. Anil Gashkoz, claimed as an heirloom in the name of the family ancestor Uni Boot-channeled.
Eric and I being snapped on Wednesday and Thursday. Is there a one that we can do that happens at the
Trying to get control, and I need to do this because I didn't work in the day.
this is my fault. What did you say? I said I'm a forgetful troll. Sorry,
Right.
forgetful troll. Okay.
So yes, that's nice. I'm not sure it's practical. Yes, I'm not sure this is a mug it's practical to drink from. Being as it is studded with silver, decorated with hyena leather, encircled with bands of oval limestone cabochons and tower cap, with hanging rings of tanzanite, spikes of silver, an image of a dwarf surrounded by dwarves in limestone, an image of a pomegranate wood figurine of dwarves in limestone. And an image of a dwarf and a giant hyena in mule leather. Rather curiously, it's actually a zombie giant hyena striking down a dwarf vampire.
I think
Oh, and some forgotten beasts done in spider silk.
I'm starting to think that I've worked out what this is about. Famously, an entire book of the Iliad is devoted to describing the decorations on Achilles' shield. Just as a random, huge Neil Stevenson-esque sidetrack in the middle of what's otherwise a chronicle of war and gods. And I think every dwarf who does one of these things aspires to be the next Achilles' shield.
Yes. I mean, it's not plain packed, but... which was one of these so legendary it has its own page on the Dwarf Fortress wiki, where it turned out there was a bug that could cause someone to repeatedly collect items to put into their work without ever actually making it. And then when they were eventually allowed to make it, they produced this thing that had like hundreds of images of itself on it.
In the Tony Robinson adaptation of the Iliad,
Anil Gashkoz.
when we were kids, they did the whole digression about Achilles' shield when Achilles showed it to Odysseus, and Tony Robinson described this shield rage in a Tony Robinson style, and then cut back to the dialogue and Odysseus says, "That's some shield." "Yes," said Achilles, "but it's murdered a king."
Well, let's stick that in our display case before someone tries to drink from it.
It's probably made of something that's not food safe.
It's made of limestone, so it's not that bad. Okay, I think we have a serious library problem. People can't get into the library and are getting stuck in the doorway, reading.
Okay, that is a serious problem.
I'm going to attempt to enlarge the library.
We require more library.
Yes. Yes, I assume that giant mole corpse was dealt with at some point.
Right. Finally, organised enough to step out the door. Good night.
Yeah, it looks like the giant mole corpse has got trapped, as expected. Someone needs to sort out things, but Right, so meanwhile, what's going on with this magma? Someone's operating that pump. Right, good. Stop operating that pump. Start operating that pump. We really need to kill more of our pigs. Okay, you've got bored and decided not to operate the other pump. Okay. Let's just check if we've got some magma up here already. No. That minecart is mysteriously empty. So no, we don't currently have any magma ready to go into the pit. Into the, yes, pit. We do, however, I think, have a silver ballista arrow around somewhere. One of my silver ballista arrows has just been made. Oh, and the other one is still en route, sorry. So it looks like the silver arrows are quite a lot heavier. I think I might want to add a wheelbarrow to the stockpile so we can get them back faster. If we have any spare wheelbarrows. Because that is taking a long time to get hauled anywhere. Right, now that we have, though, a silver arrow made, even if it isn't quite installed yet, let's I don't think we care about what kind of walls we have in a library. So let's mine out those white jade for future use. That's probably just yet another thing getting trapped. So I'm going to gradually reduce our stock of wooden ballista arrows because I don't think they're very useful to us. So we will destroy them. Aha! We have some rhinoceros corpses on the surface. Right, time to get everyone indoors then. Notice how I managed to find them before anyone had got attacked by them. I mean, this will probably... Actually, let's make sure that our inside burrow is reasonably sane. What's going on here? Am I screwing this up in some exciting way? Yes, I was, right. Make sure there aren't any embarrassingly inaccessible patches. Like the bedrooms on the lowest level. No, I did already do them. Excellent. Right. Okay. So now everyone will go, I can't do things. Because even though they've had plenty of time to get stuff in from the surface, have they managed to? No. Right. Meanwhile, ready to prepare to fire, but I think I'm going to forbid for now not the wooden ballista arrows, apart from the one that's actually in the ballista, so that they will prioritise. They'll first load it with the silver arrow. So there are the zombie rhinoceroses. They're moving fairly determinedly in towards our fortress. So I'm going to be watching these. I mean, we've got 3 of them. There are 3 cage traps. They may all be able to get into the cage traps. Currently they're moving fairly slowly. People of Nosetools are trying to get indoors quickly. As are the cats of Nosetools. I think everyone may be inside. I think with that human child coming in, basically the surface is now vertical linear feature. Do you mean this one here? That's the river, which wends its way around our site. These are the cages where we keep our animals that are bait animals. This here, vertical linear feature. This here is a natural hill. This here is where we keep the cage traps. Is the cage traps with a pig behind them, which I hope will tempt in the zombie rhinos. Right, I think we have got everyone indoors, and we can thus lock this door. So the zombie rhinos, the pig with the cage traps is the sensible thing for trying to trap zombie rhinos. The thing with the ballista is, on the other hand, the comprehensively silly thing for attempting to catch zombie rhinos. Currently, the zombie rhinos are ignoring all of the pigs. Are you not tempted by my pigs? They're very nice pigs. So the outdoor end of the ballista corridor is down here. So the idea is the rhinoceroses go in there, north along the corridor, and come out here to the pig, and that they can see the pig from outside, but they can't get at it except by going along that corridor, which is open to the air. I don't know if that'll make any difference. The problem with building a ballista thing on the surface, while we could do it, is that ballistas fire in dead straight north, south, east and west lines. So unless we're very lucky, we're not going to hit a rhinoceros. This is why I want to guide them into a long corridor in the correct, pointing in the correct direction. But they're moving a bit faster. I think they've spotted the pig. Wow, that was a highly effective rhinoceros trapping system. Right, everyone can come outside again now. No, they can't. There's a bunch of undead dingoes now. Okay, I thought they could come outside, but it turns out we've got undead dingoes, and I'm not entirely sure I trust everyone with undead dingoes either. Which, of course, means we now can't reload the cage traps. But, like, that was a highly effective piece of rhinoceros trapping. My hope is that the dingoes will come down and get shot with a ballista. Sorry, I'm just wondering if we've actually got a wheelbarrow assigned to that. Is it 43 or no? Surely not. It'd be a higher number than that. I think I need to make another wooden wheelbarrow so that we'll get a wheelbarrow assigned to our ballista arrow stockpile. So I think that will be quite useful. Right, so now I have another pile of zombies to watch. I have left the front door locked, haven't I? Yes, but I've turned off that because we don't actually, because keeping people in with a locked door is easier. So I need to keep half an eye on this till I can switch the ballista to fire at will if the dingoes look like actually coming in, getting close to it. I mean, we saw that the rhinoceroses did get properly tempted by that pig. I mean, I suspect this pig is now going to fall to the dingoes because, like, there's nothing to save it anymore. So possibly I should next reconstruct things so that the pigs are protected both by a ballista and by some cage traps. Surely they can see that pig now. Look at the nice pig. You can path to the pig. I think they spotted the other pig, sadly. Yes, I think we may want to have some means of sealing the pig in safely once all of its cage traps have fired. Obviously, the ideal thing would be to have that happen fully automatically. Because there goes the pig. Bits of pig flying everywhere. Big mess, splat. Though I have to say, zombie dingoes, not actually as effective against pigs as I'd expected. Like, that pig's still alive in there. Right, now it's dead. But, like, it took a dingo... I think maybe our military could actually take these. But, like, it's not like I haven't said that before. Right, but now are the dingoes just going to stand around in the trap? Are they going to emerge and explore somewhere else? But that's not the direction I want you to explore in. I want you to explore southwards. Yes, you're quite right, Claire. We now have a zombie pig. Happily, I think it's only lost teeth, so... Oh no, actually, it wasn't the pig that lost those teeth. Those are the dingo's teeth. Right, well, meanwhile, someone has probably come down and started operating the magma draining pump. Yes, excellent. So it's interesting that the Zombie pig doesn't seem to be prone to leaving. Is it still tied up? No. So the killing the pig has also untied it from its restraint. Oh dear. Well, we have a visiting mathematician. Who has just arrived on the corner of the map and is presumably worrying about whether these zombie dingoes are anything that they need to do anything about. You haven't even brought any books with you. I mean, really. How have we got dingo corpse teeth inside the fortress? Is there a hole in the fortress that I've not noticed? No, that's the old entrance, isn't it? Yes, that one's perfectly safe. That's the current entrance. Doesn't seem to be a hole in the fortress, so I'm wondering why we've got a couple of dingo corpse teeth in our stockpile. Dingoes are still wandering around up in the northeast. Go on, find the other pig. Sadly, I think dingo teeth are too small to be carved, at least by dwarves. Come on, dingoes. There's a lovely pig over here you could come and try to catch. Yes, none of our pigs are actually assigned to individual dwarfs. They're all... Yes, I'm not surprised. The visitors are hanging around right on the edge of the map in the hope that no one will notice them. In particular in the hope that the zombie dingoes won't notice them. I'm hoping that the zombie dingoes will notice the pig. Yeah, I think that they're currently a bit far away from the bait pig. Oh, you saw with the rhinoceroses roughly how close they had to get before they were going to be tempted by anything. Yes, right on the edge of the map is where the zombie rhinos appear, so that may well make that a relatively unsafe place to be. Discussing excision. 3 people discussing excision. There is a great big discussion of excision going on in the library. At least there was. Oh no, it was visitors, of course, who were discussing it, yes. So who have we got discussing that? A sage, a scholar, and a scholar. We couldn't have it, after all, have anyone who has any practical knowledge of this. So now, if I make that an internal door, make that an internal door, and I then just say this thing, can I not, do I need now to make this make a new activity zone, because I don't think I can extend this one. Yes. So are there now 2 activity zones here? And if there are, how would I tell? I think that worked. I just might have accidentally overlapped 2 activity zones. That's only missing that square there, which I'm walling off because it would otherwise mean that the library wasn't made out of 5x5 rectangles, squares. So that square is deliberately excluded from the library. Like, it would obviously be wrong to have our library not be made perfectly out of square rooms. Like everything else in the fortress is made out of perfectly square rooms. So I think that now means that people, at least in theory, can move into that room. Whether they will or not is another matter, but... maybe I should put some furniture there in due course. Anyway, what's going on the surface? Where are the dingoes? Have they eaten my pig while I wasn't looking? The dingoes look like they're mostly hanging around down here, continuing not to find the pig. You know, that's a random lungfish, I see. And gradually replacing our wooden ballista arrows with silver ballista arrows, while we hope that the dingoes will come somewhere interesting. Right, have we got still just the iron one that's randomly empty? Still, I think the full minecart is on the way, so that's good. And the full minecart full of magma is on its way. So dingoes are still milling around unhelpfully on the wrong side of the map. Probably check the state of our coffins and make sure we don't need to build more burial chambers. Yeah, we've got at least some unused coffins kicking around, so that's fine. Come on, bring me up that one remaining minecart full of magma. We have a freshly grown adult dwarf. Well, 12 years old anyway, which qualifies as adult in this world. So, while she can now remember playing with things, she will no longer play with things. And we should find her a job. So I think we should be able to find her a job. Maybe we need to allow us a bit of time to pass. Right, well, she has no jobs at the moment. I think we probably want another siege operator mostly. And we should also generally enable all hauling. And the usual set of stuff. Okay, she's still playing make-believe. Presumably, she at least gets to finish that job. Finish playing, even though it's her birthday or something. Right, we now have a full steel minecart up here. That was the plus steel minecart, wasn't it? Yes. I think, just check. Yes. So now we can move that stop, add a new stop there, and attach that full minecart to that, and that should then get us our last Alright, yes. I still haven't found my lovely tempting pig, but they have found a bard. And the naked mole dog has been dealt with. No, I'm going to have a quick look at our... I mean, that looks reasonable. But let's try... right, while we're properly paused, let's try deleting that. Ah, yes, the old one still exists. Let's delete both of those. And then create an entirely new one. Meeting area assigned to the House of Creations. So now it only has one meeting area rather than two overlapping meeting areas. Might help. Thank you, I don't think I care about ones down there. So the dingoes are still kicking around on the eastern side of the map. I've just spotted a ghost. Begin on Logum. Let's fix that. Also, we now have the last one of those obsidian walls cast. So now, let's set people to smoothing them. So let's make that a slightly high priority smoothing job. We've stopped trying to train you naked mole dogs because they just get irritating. Right, so now we are smoothing our obsidian shaft, as it were. That's the obsidian shaft smoothed. So now I think we want to remove those stairs. And if this works properly, it will be possible to remove the stairs from above. There's someone carrying meat into the graveyard. Stop carrying meat into the graveyard. It's an indication that you've got horribly confused. No, don't try to dismantle that while you're standing down there. That's just going to be embarrassing. Well, I mean, we'll see quite how embarrassing. If you end up with 2 broken legs, don't blame me. I carefully made sure there was a staircase so you could dismantle this from, I believe, the floor above. So now I'm going to watch you have a possibly embarrassing time. Whee! Okay, you haven't quite managed to fall into the pit because no one has yet walked through the door to let you to open the trapdoor. But you can't climb out because I've made sure you can't climb out. There you go, splot. Probably quite injured now. Okay, you did all right. You've only smashed one of your hands. But still, you stupid elf. Yes, I recommend you head over to the hospital and get that hand fixed. Let's see if the people dismantling the next level of the staircase can do so without standing on it. Okay, I think our siege operator who was elfing that ballista has actually got bored and gone off to get something to eat. I suspect someone else will be along shortly. Yes. Meanwhile, and actually, we don't currently need any more stuff up here, so let us stop that stockpile collecting any more mine carts, but on the other hand, no, disconnect the mine cart from that one. The zombie dingo's still around. Yes, one of them even has a name now. Alright, they're right up here in the northeast corner, busy killing poets. Right, see, at least this elf is dismantling this staircase from next to it rather than on top of it, which means that they are not going to have an embarrassing plummet to their death. Is that the same ghost I've dealt with once already? Rather that I'm still trying to deal with, yes. Someone is terrified of it. Doesn't seem to be terrified actually. Okay. Well, if we made that, we might have actually built that memorial by now. Going to have to enlarge the yes, I appreciate my habit of using elven poets for pretty much everything is probably not going to be very good for them being competent at anything. Right, what the hell are you doing down there? Why, my dear bard, are you sitting at the bottom of this pit? Oh, you're cleaning it. Right, okay. Well, you can clean the pit if you want. But, like, I'm actually intending Can I stick Exploring the Mountain Halls in one of those display cabinets to get it out of the pit? Or in that display cabinet? No. I don't know what's going on with that thing. So its name was Exploring the Mountain Halls. It's a perfectly sensible scroll. Maybe it's not an artifact scroll. I don't seem to have a category for scrolls. It looks like we've got some parchment kicking around, which is nice. So I don't think I can put that scroll in here. I think we may just have to accept that that scroll is, I mean, it'll be under what kind of thing it is. Here we have codices. Look up scrolls in the manual. Well, the wiki. Oops. Quires and scrolls is found under tools in the stock screen. Right, okay. Actually, let's nonetheless. Written and unwritten books are stored in stockpiles with finished goods enabled. The original written works can be separated from copied and unwritten books. Even though we, yeah, I fear that this is just going to end up full of rubbish, though, if we enable all finished goods. But maybe we can put it in the display case, which will get it out of the way. If we know, now that we know that we want to look under tools. There are some scrolls there. There's another scroll there. But I still can't find that one. Right, we've got copies of various things there. Are those all in the library, out of curiosity? Yes, those have all been properly put in the library. Well, let's try then, since nothing else seems to work. Marking them. Can't mark it for dumping, which suggests that it's an artifact. Well, maybe we just have to accept that the zombies are going to have a scroll about mountain homes to read. Whatever it was. Exploring the mountain halls, I'm sure it'll be fine. There's also a couple of buckets down there for no apparent reason. What's that then? Alright, those blocks are forbidden, are they? Unforbid them and use them to build a wall. So as to separate that pit from everything else. No, I don't think that's the problem. I think I can't mark it for dumping because it's an artifact. And I think you can't in general mark artifacts for dumping. Right, so... And then once that wall has been built, I think we may be getting ready to start dumping creatures into the pit and seeing whether this actually works. You're still the same ghost, aren't you? Yes. Don't worry, we'll fix you up soon. Just as soon as someone can get into the temple. Fight their way through all the people already in the temple. There we go. So people should now start hauling cages back to being around the pit. Once they've done so, we will try putting something in the pit. Oh, our zombie pig has moved one square. Where are the zombie dingoes today? Only 2 of them left. Looks like one of them's injured. They may never get to experience the full power of this fully operational ballista because they're not actually going to get in there before they get killed by passing musicians. Which I think suggests that my military really could have dealt with them. Right, there's a bunch of zombie dingoes, like, really quite close to you. Would you like to go and say hello to them? Because they'll come and say hello to you. Surely you must be able to see one another. Oh. That's a very sweet message, if also kind of sad because, well, she's going to die of this, we know that. Oh, I think one of the zombie dingoes walked off. So there's now only one zombie dingo left. And now there's the question of whether the zombie dingo and the spear dwarf will meet one another. Go on. Or will the zombie dingo decide to leave following its friends? I mean, I appreciate there's only one of you and you probably aren't going to survive an encounter with a spear dwarf, but you could give it a try, and you are a zombie. You're not meant to think about things. Once this zombie dingo is cleared off or not, yes, I will reset the pig trappery. I think it's just cleared off, right. There are now no surprise zombies, with the exception of course, our own actual zombie pig that we've made. So I think now let's sort that out and test that, yes. We disarm the ballista. We temporarily ask civilians to stay inside while we unlock the door. And get, actually, frankly, all of the military, or at least all of the useful military, ready to go and deal with the zombie pig. I mean, the Marks dwarves can at least harass it, even if they can't actually kill it. Okay, they just killed it. Yeah, I suppose beheading it with your bismuth bronze battle axe is going to deal with it pretty quickly. So, a zombie pig, not a serious problem. Let us install some new pigs. Well, a new pig anyway. The scholar is pissing off with one of my books. There's a 9-page musical composition entitled The Tandeification and Clubs. Okay, well, have fun with it. Right, so the other thing that I want to do is to start trying to hurl unwanted creatures into this pit. Um, so yes, we've got more than 3. I think we have some other cages with zombie rhinos in. Those will go into the pit as well. Right, so here we have a dwarf by the name of Shorest Zonkakoth in a cage. What I hope is that if I say plus to stick Shorest Zonkakoth into this pit, right, that this will be done in a way that does not lead to embarrassment. And does not, e.g., lead to a dwarf fighting Shorest Zonkakoth and falling down into the pit with them. Of course, this depends on everyone not being distracted by being allowed out of the building again. Did someone just nip in and do that job while I wasn't looking? No. Yes, it looks like Shorest Zonkakoth has gone somewhere. Just I'm not sure where, which makes me worried. Yes, okay, that didn't work. Well, I say it didn't work. So, okay, that was quite nice. Someone successfully caught the dwarf and hurled them into the pit. So, kind of successful. Wasn't the success I was hoping for. And I think that actually means that I want to construct a few more cage traps around here so that if this happens again, where's my trap thing, lost name? Completely forgotten where my mechanics workshop is. There it is. Yes, this is still failing to be a reliable disposal method. I mean, like, it works some of the time. We've successfully got someone into it. Second attempt. Look there, Shorest Zonkakoth in a hole. Now, people become get marked as becomes a baroness when their description changes, which happens when they switch between being a military and a civilian dwarf. So this is not actually anything to worry about yet. Also, I'm reasonably confident we don't want any more magma up here anytime soon, so let's remove this stockpile. Not least to give us more space to build cage traps. You're walking around suspiciously carrying meat. Okay, maybe you're just going to throw it away. No, I know I'm suspicious of you. Oh no, you are actually going to store that in a barrel. That's fine. Right, so I think we should dispose of some of this. So yes, I'd like to install at least cage traps on the edges of this room before we start trying to pit creatures again. Which is going to require making a bunch more mechanisms. Be a little while, so I may stop in a moment because that's all going to take a little while to sort out. Cool, that's been waiting to be spun for ages, I think. Yes, right, so I think that's all for tonight. We've successfully lined our pit with polished obsidian, only to find that doesn't appear to help as much as I'd hoped. We've successfully shot a pig with our ballista, which was not the most effective thing ever. Also, what? Did I attach another pig to that one? I didn't remember doing that. Oh well. I don't mind. Our depressed dwarf has finally become so depressed she can't work anymore, and has probably stopped eating as well. We don't have any zombie rhinos right now. And we've built a library which appears to work quite effectively, though may need some adjustments, and a museum which no one seems to want to visit. They're only going through the museum on the way to the library. Yes, my service pig trap is full of... Yes, we do have zombie rhinos in cages, but that's the best place for them. The surface pig trap is indeed full of full cages, but the cage traps have been reloaded, so we will trap the next thing to turn up. It's just we don't have anywhere to put those cages because all of our places to put full cages are full of cages waiting to be emptied. Someone's just delivered a new one with a rhino in it, which I'm sure will be fine. And that spare empty minecart is being taken downstairs. I've accidentally left someone working that pump. Let's stop them doing that. Right. There's only one cage left up here now, it seems. I think. Maybe I'm just confusing it with a tooth. Anyway. Right, so I think that's things in a reasonable state, and well, I'm going to continue experimenting with this pit and seeing if I can make it work slightly better. But it is getting better, and if this keeps going wrong, we can try the utterly ludicrous automatic minecart unloading system, where we load the cages into minecarts and hurl them down a track fast enough that they self-unload at the bottom, and then the cages self-unload shortly afterwards. This is tricky, though. Discuss embryological development. Ponder the water cycle. Right, so that will be all for tonight, and we will see you later in the week on probably Friday. So, good night. Good night.